Again, this is not a good board. Like, it's going to hit Adonis a pretty large amount of the time. But given we have ace 3, I think you see bet here because you have 1 overcard. Decent enough equity.
Yeah.
And your showdown value, you're going to sometimes get into situations where you're actually going to want to call the river with ace high. So I think this is...
Yeah. But this is actually a spot where I might check behind air and just give up.
I would totally... If I had very poor equity, I would give up. But this, I think, is good enough equity to the point where...
And against a bad player, I might check behind.
Red.
I mean, I bet, yeah, against a bad player, you can do this, and you can, like, go to showdown with ace high, but this is not something you can do against a good player. Yeah, like
I certainly would prefer betting here. Thing is, like, if a blank comes on the turn and Adonis bets, you're gonna be winning a fair amount of the time.
But you're gonna fold. It goes back to that
exactly.
Yeah, but if Adonis leads here, you have to call. He's just repping.
Yeah, there's just very little that... This just basically lessens the combos of made hands you can have in the
situation. You could actually raise the turn, too, if Adonis leads. Which I'd expect him to do a lot. But you have to have... You either have to, A, think the person's going to give you credit, or B, have shown the tendency to check behind a hand like 9x there. Like, personally for me, if I was playing with Adonis a lot, he would be stupid not to think that I'm checking behind 9x here a fair amount.
Right.
But maybe he doesn't think Iftari's going to do it. But it's definitely... It's a spot that Adonis is going to lead very wide, and so that's why I kind of like a raise there. And if you have 9x there, then you want to have some bluffs. But
I think best thing's probably just call a turn bet.
Yeah, that's probably fine. Huh?
So he checks. I think at this point you check and see your showdown value.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's not going to fold a 7 or a...
On to 2 bets either. He's not going to fold a 7 to 2 bets. Man.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really get this. Personally.
Maybe he's just trying. He just thinks he's going to fold. So he's like, all right.
Maybe it's
that seems ambitious. I don't think you could really have a good enough read.
I don't really see the point here.
Alright, let's see what
I'm sure the plan is to bet again and try to get him off like 6s through deuces or like a 7.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen.
But I think the problem is that Iftari actually does have like a lot of air in his range on the flop. Like I think Adonis is going to expect him to check behind a fair amount of air hands.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
He folded.
I'm surprised that Adonis wouldn't lead air a lot there, but see, maybe
I certainly wouldn't be surprised at all because there's so many draws Adonis is going to have in his range. I mean, if by air you mean hands with no equity, I disagree. If by air you mean like hands that aren't made,
no, I was thinking that he could lead hands with no equity because I would expect some people to check air there. And it's a tough spot to call with like ace high.
Yeah, but you already have so many draws in your range that you're going to lead with on the turn. So you already have pretty weak equity there, or your range is already pretty weak. So I just don't think you really have room to add a lot more air to it.
Yeah.
Anyways, so maybe it was one of the spots where he's just like, okay, if Adonis isn't betting the turn, he probably doesn't have. I'm very, very sure he doesn't have a hand. I'm just going to bet him off so he doesn't realize any of his drawing equity, which I think is fine if you're just very sure of that.
Yeah. I mean, they have history, so maybe he was.